Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mailbox for the 21st of December 2011. My name is Totalbiscuit, bringing you your daily dose of community interaction, gaming discussion, and all that good stuff. You can email in mailbox at cynicalbrit.com. That's mailbox at cynicalbrit.com with topics for future shows. The first email comes in from Curtis that says this: I was wondering what your feelings are about the statement from BioWare stating that the next Dragon Age was going to be set in more of a world like Skyrim rather than their kind of straight line mixed with open world RPGs. I was a huge fan of Dragon Age Origins and like many others hated Dragon Age 2, but I feel if they try and open the world up more than the first one, it would cease to be a Dragon Age game and be closer to trying to feed off the success of the Elder Scrolls games. I'd love to hear your opinion on this subject. Keep up the good work and take a damn break. No breaks of the week. Well, I don't like the idea, honestly, because it's venturing into territory that BioWare isn't really comfortable with. The thing is that Dragon Age Origins, as I've said before, is one of my favorite PC RPGs of all time. I loved that game to death. It is a really good game. What I want to see out of Dragon Age 3 is a return to that formula, which is hub-based questing, dialogue choices, and RPG goodness. Dungeons, of course. So that's really what it is. I mean, Dragon Age was a series of hubs, and you traveled between those hubs, and there were little side events that happened in between where you traveled from place to place, battles and events that you came across, and I liked that. I actually liked the semi-open world element of it in that, oh, well, you know, you're traveling around, and it's not just the hubs, there's these little things that pop up from time to time. That's kind of a good system. I enjoy that quite a bit, and I think I would like to see more of that. Open world, I don't really know, because I think the strength of BioWare is often in its storytelling, and in order to tell a really good story, you do have to hold the player by the hand somewhat and direct him to where you want them to go. Otherwise, the story will have no pacing of any description. Does anyone care about Skyrim's story? Probably not. What they do care about is exploration and side missions and things like that. Does anyone care about Oblivion's story, or indeed its main objective? Because Oblivion's a game I put 300 hours into. Skyrim I barely played for 2. So I could talk about Oblivion and say that Oblivion's main storyline, after 300 hours, I hadn't even bothered trying to accomplish beyond the first few quests, honestly. I'd gone for all the side stuff, and there's tons of exploration in that game, and that's the strength of it, this undirected wandering experience and finding these little stories here and there. I don't think that that's the strength of BioWare. I think BioWare's better at the overall arc. They're really good at that. They're also good at character development. You can't really develop characters when you've got wandering gameplay going on. I mean, does anyone really care about the companions that you get in Skyrim? Really? Compare that to Garrus, for instance. Think about him. You know, Garrus is awesome. What about Tali, for instance? Or indeed, go back to Origins. What about Morrigan? Another example. These are memorable characters that are developed well over the course of 100 hours of gameplay and storytelling. This is a very good thing. This structured approach is very, very good indeed. And you're actually even getting that in the Old Republic. There is character development around the companions. There are loads of character quests for each of these companions that help develop their overall personalities. The characters do progress, regardless of the fact that they are all sort of copies of another companion that someone else has. They put some effort into developing those characters. They are not just pets. You know, pets don't have storylines. These guys, they do. For instance, my first companion, I know exactly why she's with me. I know quite a lot about her personality that's been explained when you've got an awful lot of exposition that's going on with her in the storyline before I got her, and now, while I have her as well, I have character development in terms of the quests and even the voice acting that she brings in. So this is what BioWare is good at. This is what BioWare, in my opinion, should stick to. Storytelling, for God's sake. Go back to some of the older games, as I said yesterday, and stick to what you are good at, and explore some of the things that you've had a chance to do in the past. Explore the Baldur's Gate style of questing. Explore the Baldur's Gate style of dungeons. And look at ways that you can improve your combat as well, because let's be honest, I don't think Dragon Age 2's combat was better than Dragon Age 1. I don't even think Dragon Age 1's combat was particularly good as it was, but there was at least quite a lot of strategy involved in that. Dragon Age 2 was nothing like that. I think Dragon Age 2 made the worst combat errors I could possibly think of in terms of its mechanics. Either you make it strategic or you make it action. You don't try and go somewhere down the middle, because that doesn't work. Mass Effect is a third-person shooter with a lot of RPG elements. It is an third-person RPG with actual skill-based combat. There are, of course, stat-based skills as well, and gear and things like that, but that's what Mass Effect actually is. Dragon Age, in my opinion, is a party-based CRPG, and that's the way that it should actually be played through. Dragon Age 2, I don't even know what that was. It felt like an MMO in terms of its combat, and that's never good in a single player, honestly. Combat is always the weak point of MMORPGs, and I definitely don't want to see that being incorporated into my single-player games. Absolutely not, because you've got all of the problems with MMO combat and none of the advantages and the actual positive points of it being an MMO. So, no, no, no. Let's not have that. BioWare, I think, used to have this aura of do no wrong, and I think Dragon Age 2 tarnished that very significantly, so I am scared. I really am scared at what they're going to do with the Dragon Age universe. It could end up being really good, but I don't see any evidence to prove that they can pull something like that off. I really, really do not. The directed experience is always the best option for BioWare. From a positive standpoint, at least it can't be worse than Dragon Age 2. This one comes in from an anonymous viewer that says this: I've been wondering lately what's going to happen to laptops with the recent onset of much more powerful portable devices for gaming and productivity, like the iPad 2, iPhone 4S, and new PSP and the like. The only saving grace, in my opinion, for laptops currently is their larger screens and their portability, as they're far more expensive than a PC of the same standard and can do much less. Or will the new CPU-GPU combos being developed by AMD, Intel, and now Nvidia cut costs and even the playing field? Even beyond gaming, I know a couple of my friends do the majority of their schoolwork on their iPads, and there's been a discussion in my school about replacing our school laptops with iPads, which has already happened for the staff. For instance, the new HTC Zeta is rumored to have a 2.5 gigahertz quad-core processor with 1 gig of RAM. Less than a decade ago, this would be fairly standard on a high-spec PC, let alone a laptop, and even today, that's quite acceptable. Will this mean the end of laptops? I don't know if it'll mean the end of laptops. The thing about laptops is that you can cram a lot more power in there, but the problem is, what's the point in that power? What is it for? I know why my laptop is as powerful as it is, because I need that power for video encoding. That's something that you're not really going to be able to do on other portable devices, because you need a lot of muscle behind it. It's also going to consume an absurd amount of power. And for instance, the idea that the battery on my laptop is heavier than my iPad. That's just a fact. Battery on my laptop is heavier than my iPad, and yet on battery, that laptop cannot run at full speed. It needs power from a actual power adapter in order to run at full speed, and there's a drastic drop in performance if it's running off battery. Of course, you can watch movies, and you can play some lighter games on it, and of course browse the internet on battery, no problem at all, but you try and play something heavy. Like, for instance, I try and play Battlefield 3 on that. I can play it if I have it plugged in, but I can't play it if I don't have it plugged in because there's too much frame drop. So that's something to consider there. But really, are all that many people actually interested in playing high-spec games on the go? Because I'm going to go with no, really. It is not a large market demographic. Gaming laptops are not that popular relative to other devices. And you can't really blame people. They cost a fortune. They're often prone to things like overheating. They all have their own issues. I mean, every laptop has something about it that I don't like. For instance, mine doesn't boot sometimes if I have too many of a specific kind of USB device plugged into it. Specifically, my SteelSeries mouse stops my machine from posting sometimes. The other thing I don't like about my machine is my keyboard. The keyboard on it isn't very good whatsoever, and sometimes it doesn't shut down properly. Every laptop I've ever seen has some niggling problem with it, and you really can't fix it because all of this stuff is bespoke. Even if you get a custom laptop built, it's probably going to have its own issues as well. So that marketplace isn't really all that large, and we're also getting to the point where that marketplace is being taken over by things like cloud gaming. OnLive, for instance, very, very soon will be running on iPads. They're just waiting for the app to be approved in the store. It is ready to go. I even have the wireless controller for iPad that those guys actually sent through for me to have a look at, and that will just play with the iPad. I could put the iPad down on the desk and play with a fully functional wireless controller that is just like a 360 pad. Right, so that's really, really awesome, isn't it? And as long as I've got a 1 megabit connection on the iPad, I can play pretty much anything. I can play Saints Row 3, Deus Ex, Batman Arkham City on an iPad. So why exactly do I have a 1.8K gaming laptop again? Once again, it comes back to video encoding work, which is a very, very small demographic to look at, isn't it? And a lot of video encoders actually use Macs as well. I happen to use a PC because primarily I'm a gaming channel, so a Mac isn't any use to me. Mac is not for game? Absolutely not. I am okay with laptops going, because honestly, laptops are bulky, clunky, expensive pieces of tat most of the time. And don't get me wrong, I love my laptop. I couldn't really live without it, but if I could replace it with a more portable device that was equally powerful, damn right I'd do it. Seriously, I don't necessarily need a 17-inch screen on the go on the train. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to watch Blu-ray, it's nice to play games, but I would probably sacrifice that for portability at some point, because that thing is damn unwieldy. I mean, for conventions, for instance, I got my iPad to take to stuff like Gamescom, so that I have something with me that is vaguely portable, because my god, lugging my laptop around that convention was a gigantic pain in the ass. It really, really was. It's a very, very heavy machine. So just being able to, say, demonstrate my video coverage to developers on an iPad, or be able to directly access developed games on an iPad, for instance. There's a lot of mobile games being displayed at game shows now, to the point where I feel that the marketplace is suitably valuable, and it should be covered. A lot more people are getting hold of these devices, and the games are getting more complex. There are good games on portable devices. I would like to see more good games on portable devices. As far as I'm concerned, competition breeds innovation, and if something is phased out, then so be it, as long as there is a suitable replacement. My concern is that there won't be a suitable replacement. It's the idea that, let's say, a lot of phones now are touch-only and don't have keyboards. I despise that. My hands are too big. I have a massive hand span. Anyone that's seen my hands, they're ridiculous. I'm just going to hold out my hand right now. So what does it reach? I can reach from tilde to the plus key next to backspace. That is my hand span. My hands are gigantic. I can use an iPad, but good luck ever using a touch phone. It's terrible. I can't do it. So, as far as I'm concerned, as long as there are suitable input devices available, and you can use an iPad with a keyboard and things like that, so that's okay. As long as there are suitable input devices available, and as long as it does what I want it to do, I don't care what I do it on, quite frankly. Technology advances, certain things are outmoded and left behind. That is okay. I have no problem with that. And honestly, I'm quite excited to see what the future brings in that regard. This one comes in from Jamie Morris that says, I'm a PC gamer with limited funds. I'm a 19-year-old suffering from the massive unemployment amongst people my age in the UK. Yeah, I can relate to that, honestly. I was stuck in that myself, in fact, several times. And due to this, I am not able to afford what you would call a high-spec PC. In fact, I'm using a mid-tier laptop for my gaming. Due to this, I'm unable to play new A-list titles. This annoys me greatly. Would it really take that much time for developers to increase the range of graphical options? I understand that they want the game to look as good as possible, but that is related to the higher end of the options. I'm talking about the low end. I really don't think it's fair for PC gamers who don't have disposable income to be excluded from the experience of those best games. Do you think this is fair, or is it just part of being a PC gamer? It unfortunately is one of the fairly major downsides of being a PC gamer, in that your hardware gets outdated faster than console hardware does. The problem is that when you code for the same exact piece of hardware over and over again, you get extremely good at it. You get good at squeezing every possible ounce of power out of the system, and of course you learn tricks which allow you to cut corners. Now, you can't really do that so much on PC, because if you do, you run into problems optimizing for the various, and I say various configurations, I'm talking untold millions of configurations that it could potentially be. And a lot of console ports, for instance, really don't give a damn either. They often don't run all that well. Remember GTA 4? And wow, that game would barely run on anything when it came out. In fact, it seemed to be only random configurations that would actually make it work properly. I have no idea what was going on with that game. I really, really don't. Some insane stuff when it came to the console port there. Yeah, you're going to run into a lot of problems here, and honestly, I think it's something that developers should be spending more time on, and they should find it not just within their hearts, but actually within their wallets, because it is to their benefit to create as many graphical options as possible to allow you to optimize on whatever system you possibly can. If you want to play an ugly, ugly game, then play an ugly game. If your system doesn't run it, as long as you don't care about that and it's actually your decision, then just go for it. I actually think that a lot of devs are a bit scared that their games will get a bad rap from people saying, oh, well, this game looks terrible. It's like, but no, you're running on a terrible system. That's why that is. Even your mid-spec laptop that you've got right now is better in terms of just pure hardware that a console is. The problem is that console hardware doesn't work in the same way. The architecture is different, and you're talking about a system that has had 7 years worth of practice. when it comes to development. People have got really good at coding for those systems, and PCs are constantly moving. There are driver issues from driver to driver. And for instance, you can download a driver and suddenly a game doesn't work properly. That's a software problem, and you don't really have those unless they're caused by Microsoft or Sony on a console system. So yeah, it is a gigantic kick in the teeth, and I would, as going back to the point I was trying to make before I got derailed, like to see developers put a wider range of options in, because they would sell more sodding copies if they did. They would, honestly. You got a lower spec machine you can play, great, that's fantastic. That means you might buy the copy, as opposed to, well, not buying the copy. But I have to wonder if they would rather people just get a console. In fact, I'm not even wondering. I know for a fact that most developers and publishers would rather you had a console. It's not just about piracy, because piracy does exist on those systems. Admittedly, it's less overt, but it is definitely there. The console piracy's been around for frickin' ages. My God. I couldn't think of a single kid in school that did not have a mod-chipped PlayStation 1. Not a single person. They were all pirating their games. It's just absolutely insane, and you might think that they've tightened up in recent years, but they really haven't. And modded 360s are extremely common, and honestly, it's quite cheap just to buy a 360, never connected to the net. Just get a used one and get it modded so that you can use pirated games on it and just play single-player stuff. And I'm certainly not recommending you do that, because that would make you a dickhead, but still, it's very, very common. But that's not why they prefer it. They prefer it because of control. It's control over the development, it's control over the system spec, it's control over what you do with the game, because it allows them to sell you sequels more readily. The lack of modding, I think, is actually something that a lot of developers and publishers want. They want it because it decreases the longevity of their game, which means they can sell you the next one, and it also promotes the DLC culture amongst developers and publishers, which involves selling you little bits of the game to keep you playing it, but of course they milk a lot more money out of you that way, and not every publisher and developer is unfair with its DLC, but a lot of them are. Let's be honest. DLC could be a very fair way of adding content onto your system, but more often than not, it is not that fair at all, and you do not get good price performance from DLC, whereas you would have got much better price performance from older school expansion packs. Alright folks, that's me done for the day. Thank you very much for watching the Mailbox. Bear in mind that we are coming up very, very close to Christmas, and content production will no doubt start slowing down quite significantly. I will not be producing videos over the Christmas period. Friday and Saturday, I'm actually doing a bit of a Christmas tournament cast, so don't expect too much on those days. And Sunday, it's bloody Christmas Day. Come on, guys, really? I will actually have some content. I've got some Terraria sitting here that I'm going to put up on Christmas Day for you guys. That's already been recorded. And I've got things like the Magicka and Trine that I can be working on. But things are getting pretty hectic. It's very close to Christmas, and a lot of us are slowing down and trying to take a little bit of a break. So please forgive me if we don't get Mailbox the next couple of days, or indeed some of the regular features, because things are just that damn busy. Okay, folks, thank you very much. And if I do not see you with another Mailbox before Christmas, then please enjoy your holiday. Have a safe and wonderful family event. I hope everything goes well for you. I hope you get everything you want. And I'll see you next time.